don't change careers, you need to renew your skills every few years. It's a continual process. It used to be that if you wanted to get educated, you went to the great master, you went to Socrates or Aristotle and said, "Oh, great master, can I sit at your feet for a few years? And after I've learned everything that you have to teach me, I'll be ready for the rest of my life." That's not the way it is anymore. Now people have to get used to the idea that education goes on for your entire life. And so that's one thing that's changed. The other thing that's changed is that learning happens everywhere, not just somewhere. We don't just learn at the university. I think it's kind of a little bit funny that at the university I give a degree and I say, I feel so good about myself as a university that we're going to give you a degree that says you've learned something. And the student says, "Yeah, but you're not the only place where I learn things. I've learned on the internet. I've learned on my job. I've learned doing service activities. I've learned on internships. I've learned in all these other places. How come all of those things aren't on my degree? How come the only person that gives me a degree is the university? Are they the only kind of learning that matters?" Right? In the 21st century, we don't just learn in one place. We learn everywhere. And we need credentials that we can get from anywhere, just like our learning happens anywhere. The other thing that's changing is that we are focusing more on competency-based learning rather than other types of learning. So here's an example of a technology. This is at Capella University, but I've seen similar things from other companies in the United States particularly, where instead of showing grades, instead of showing degrees, it shows competencies. And it says how many competencies. You've earned 19 of the 32 competencies. You have this many competencies left to learn before you are at this level that you're trying to achieve. That's going to be the future of education, is going to be focused on competencies and outcomes rather than simply degrees. And we're going to have dashboards that look more like this. This means that education is going to be less based on how much time you spend in the classroom. I always think that's kind of funny, especially with younger children. Like, you spend 1 year in the classroom, that means you get to move on. It doesn't matter how much you learned or didn't learn. It's how much time you spent in your seat and how much time you spent in the classroom. That's going away, and we're moving more and more towards competency-based learning, where people are focused on what you really know and what you really can do. And an example of that is here in a minute, this right here. This is from the past president of the American Education Association in the United States. Now, she wasn't talking about badging. That's not her area of research, and this is not what she was talking about. But what she said, I think, fits badging exactly. She said we need different kinds of testing. She says, my image of a qualification is a validated assessment, obtained inside or outside of school. It doesn't have to be just in school. Each qualification is not a test, but an experience with performance requirements. This is where I think we're moving in with assessments, is away from testing and more towards validated performance. So people doing things, showing that they have skills, and having a way to validate those skills and have evidence that they have those skills. To me, that sounds like badging. It can be lots of other things as well. Learning is also open now, that we share our learning. We want learning to be accessible to everybody and available to everybody. And students more and more want to have control of their learning. And that's a good thing, that they're engaged in their learning. They're no longer just happy doing whatever we tell them they need to learn. They want to have choices. They want to be able to work on things that are personally motivating to them. And that's a good thing. So what we need is new credentials to match this new kind of learning and teaching. Because education is more than just teaching. It's more than just textbooks. It's more than just content. Credentials are an important part of education. And if we don't have credentials that match the 21st century style of learning, it's not going to work. So we need credentials to match the kind of learning that we want to have in the 21st century. Now, I know a lot of you already know, already about this. You're already sold on open badging. So I just wanted to give that as a little bit of a precursor to say, this is to remind us, this is why we care about badging. Because open credentials are going to help support 21st century learning. That's why we care about open badges. Digital badges, this is from the U.S. Department of Education. They say digital badging has the potential to revolutionize education. Revolutionize education from little badges. Why? because it'll change the way we give assessments to people, it will change the way we give credit to people, and that will change how we teach and how we learn. Okay, so we'll go ahead and skip past some of this and just talk a little bit about open badges and some of the examples that I can give you. These are some of the different types of badging and micro-credentials that I've seen in the United States and in other places that I've been. So you can get badges for lots of different kinds of things. You can get badges for just being a member of something. You can get badges for attendance. You could get a badge for being here today. I think you know that that's probably not worth very much. And so I think we should be careful that we give badges that mean something, that are worthwhile. Like that president of the American Education Association said, validated performances, right? More than just, this isn't just gamification. This is about real recognition for real accomplishment. That's what we need. So I like some of these other badges. You can get badges for assignments. You can give badges for things that aren't assignments. I love that idea. That there can be things that they're not doing in their classes that are still important. For example, leadership or communication skills or teamwork. Sometimes they do that as part of classes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do that